Hello and welcome to another Magic 2015 gameplay. Today we're taking a look at a red-black heroic deck, which is an inherently risky strategy, but it does pay off, so let's take a look at the cards. As you can see, we are playing a very low curve deck with a lot of 1-drops, and the main strategy is deploying one of those 1-drop creatures and then trying to enchant them with all sorts of auras to trigger their heroic and to increase their stats so they can win in combat. So let's take a look at all the cards. We've got Tormented Hero as a 1-drop creature. His heroic drains the opponent for 1 life, and that's basically all you need to know. So a very efficient 2-1 for 1 that likes to be targeted. Then we have Ulcerate, just a random removal spell, cheap for 1 mana, and the life loss doesn't really matter in this deck. Then Deviant Glee is an excellent aura to enchant our creatures with. It's very cheap, +2/+1, and the ability to gain trample is also not irrelevant. Bloodghast is just a recurring threat in this deck. You won't probably be enchanting him all that much because, well, if he dies he loses those enchantments, but it's just a nice additional creature to have in this deck, and the opponent will likely be at 10 or less life every now and then, so he'll gain haste, so it's just a nice creature to have in this type of deck. Then Agent of the Fates is the card you would like to enchant. It's not always easy because he's a 3-drop, but his heroic is very powerful. Then Phyrexian Rager is basically there to grant some consistency to the deck. Being able to draw some additional cards, see some additional enchantments or creatures is always nice, and just a 2/2 for 3 mana is not bad as he's able to block all those 1/1s in the format. Then Coordinated Assault is another nice combat trick, can trigger heroic on 2 creatures, and the first strike is also very nice in combat as we don't really have a ton of other ways to win combat other than having better stats than the opponent. Then Satyr Hoplite is another excellent 1-drop because this heroic gives him a +1/+1 counter. Then Furor of the Bitten is another very good aura, 1 mana, +2/+2. Your creature has to attack each turn if able. That's the downside on this card, but we're attacking regardless, so it doesn't really matter all that much. Then Shock, just an efficient removal spell. Then Bloodcrazed Neonate is another pretty good 2-drop if you're able to enchant her or if you're able to clear a path, and then she just starts growing every turn, and also the downside of having to attack every turn is sort of mitigated in this type of deck. And then we also have Kiln Fiend, a late addition. I just realized we're playing a lot of spells, so we might as well get Kiln Fiend in there. Doesn't trigger off enchantments, but we still have plenty of shocks and coordinated assaults and ulcerate, so it's also a lightning rod for removal, so if your opponent does have removal, I guess they will probably kill the Kiln Fiend. Maybe we should have 4 neonates instead of 4 Kiln Fiends, so this is probably better. And then finally we also have Inferno Fist, another aura, and the ability to sacrifice it to deal 2 damage to finish off a creature or an opponent is also nice. Alright, then the mana base, 9 swamps, 9 mountains and 4 guild gates, pretty even if you look at the distribution. It does seem like we need more red, but if you look at cards like Bloodghast or Agent of the Fates, we do need double black. Alright, let's jump into a game. Okay, let's take a look at our opener. Looks like a 1-lander and double black needed, so let's try another hand. Alright, this looks pretty good. We've got 2 of our 1-drop creatures, a Deviant Glee and some more backup creatures. We're on the draw. We would have preferred to be on the play. Alright, green-white would probably mean tokens, and I do like Satyr Hoplite against tokens more than the Tormented Hero, because the hero only has 1 toughness and has no way to really increase that by himself, while the Hoplite gets the +1/+1 counters. We could have led Swamp into Hero to then go turn to Bloodghast, which is not bad, but I think we want to have a more permanent threat that can increase in power and toughness. And next turn we can choose to go Neonate or to use the Deviant Glee. So it looks like our opponent is on a Obzon or Junk build, which could mean Reanimator. Let's play the Swamp, and I think we can go a turn with Neonate here, just to test the waters. If our opponent doesn't find a blocker, then the Neonate can go wild. And if he does find a blocker, maybe Deviant Glee makes the Neonate go through. Either way, this looks fine. Okay, 3 mana. Played a basic, so probably means he's gonna cast a spell this turn. And it's gonna be a Gladeheart, which gains him 2 life whenever he plays a land. But it is only a 2/2. Problem is, we don't really have a way to make the Neonate survive combat. So unless he accepts the trade, there's nothing we can do about that. We can, however, make the Hoplite survive combat by casting Deviant Glee on it, and I think that's what I'm gonna do here. Okay, and then let's go to combat. The Vampire has to attack, and the Hoplite wants to attack. Okay, a trade. I can... Oh, no trade. Okay, looks like our opponent values the life gain, but this does mean our Neonate becomes stronger, and here we can just deploy all our 1-drops and hope to draw something like a coordinated assault would be very nice, triggering both heroic triggers, or basically any aura would also do it. 2 Gladehearts, and now we're gonna see a land drop, gaining him 4 life, which is not bad. I'm guessing they're gonna trade with the Neonate now, because otherwise they won't be able to. And there's an Ulcerate, nice, okay. Let's see. We can cast an Ulcerate on one of the Gladehearts, attack with Hoplite, Vampire and Hero, leaving the Hoplite back. We could also send in the Hoplite, given that we know he's gonna wanna trade. I think that's a worthwhile play. So kill one of the Gladehearts. And then this is not gonna have haste, so no point playing it pre-combat. And I'm just gonna send in with everyone, because if he does block the Hoplite, then that's sad, but then our Neonate gets to grow, which is all I really want here. Okay. And now we can play a post-combat Bloodghast with haste, but doesn't really matter. It's just a... we want to use our mana this turn in case we draw, let's say, a Rager, and we draw an additional card, and we want to play that card as well. Lone Missionary, so looks like our opponent is on a life gain deck rather than a Reanimator deck, which does sort of combat our strategy nicely, but he's going to have to find a win condition at some point, because right now he doesn't have any. And all our creatures can profitably attack. So we found a Furor of the Bitten, which is very nice. The question is, on which creature do we put it? If we put it on the Hoplite, we're going all in on the Hoplite. If we put it on a Neonate, we're going all in on the Neonate. On the Hero, would not be bad, but he can still double block. And the Bloodghast doesn't make a ton of sense, because we want him to die and then return to the battlefield. So that doesn't leave us a ton of options. I think I'm gonna go with the Tormented Hero, just to have to spread out all the threats. We do miss out on a +1/+1 counter, but I think this is still fine. Means he does have to double block one of our creatures. And I'm not sure why I didn't attack with the Bloodcast here. That was a mistake. Okay. So it's planar cleansing or bust, I think. Unless he has another way to gain a ton of life, which he of course has. Cerulean Gatekeepers. So we missed out on 2 points of damage here. And the 7 life is pretty nice, but our 4 power creatures can still attack. And here we drew Furor of the Bitten once again. So let's see. He can double block one of our creatures and we can only kill the Gatekeeper. But that does mean we get a lot of damage in. So I think we actually cast Furor of the Bitten on our Bloodcast. Because we don't have the double red to give our Satyr trample yet. So I'm still gonna go for the spread the power around plan. Even though we don't get any heroic triggers on the Bloodcast. And let's see how our opponent blocks, if he maybe has a combat trick. Doesn't look like it. Okay. So down to 2 life, 2 cards in hand, and a Gatekeeper in play. And it's going to be another Gladeheart. A land drop going up to 4 life. All our creatures are still lethal. And 3 mana, I don't know what he can have to save him here. There's no sweeper he can cast. So I think we did it. But let's attack to make sure. And I don't think the 2 damage of the Bloodcast ended up mattering here. And it doesn't look like it. Alright, I wanna thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this gameplay. And as always, have a nice day.